If you're in the market for a new family car, there's a good chance you're considering a Volkswagen Golf. And if you're considering a Volkswagen Golf, there's a good chance you'll think about buying it with VW's 1.5 litre turbocharged petrol engine and the DSG automatic gearbox. Now, in a new Golf, that will all set you back around £24,000. Alternatively, you can have all the same bits in this. This is the new Skoda Scala. And in the Skoda's case, you'll pay just £21,255. That saving of £3,000 to £3,500 compared with the equivalent Golf can be seen throughout the Scala range, which kicks off from just over £16,500 and slots in just beneath the Octavia in Skoda's lineup. Ah, I hear you say, but the Scala is smaller than a Golf, so of course it's cheaper. And you'd be right, sort of, because while the Skoda is indeed slightly shorter, slightly narrower and slightly lower than a Golf, Skoda's made the wheelbase longer, so actually on the inside it's bigger. It really is amazing just how big it is back here. Legroom is exceptional, headroom, that's exceptional too. It's nice and light because you've got nice big windows, and although it's not quite as wide back here as a Golf or a Focus or Skoda's Octavia for that matter, it's still just about big enough to squeeze 3 people in. Last but not least, parents with children in car seats, take note that the ISOFIX points are nice and easy to access. It's not only the passenger compartment that's big either, because the boot comfortably trumps the Golf for capacity, although do note that a dual height floor to level out the load bay when the rear seats are folded is an optional extra. So the Scala is a wonder of packaging, and we can certainly appreciate it for that. But on the other hand, design-wise, and at the risk of offending the designer, there's not really a great deal to say, is there? It's almost like the bosses phoned up and said, guys, we need a new car, and the designers said, great, what do you want? And the bosses said, oh, I don't know, just a car with wheels and windows and doors. And well, here it is. Inside, it is all very straightforward and about as unpretentious as a mug of Tetley tea. And I quite like it for that. I like that there's nothing silly in here. All the switches are where you expect to find them, and they all move with a good level of precision, and storage spaces are fine. The only thing is, it is a bit plain, even compared with the Skoda Octavia. There's not a lot going on. What Skoda's done here is basically nail how the ergonomics should be in a modern car. Everything is just so easy to use. The dials are simple. This is an SE spec car with analog dials. If you move up the range, you can have a digital dash display. The driving position is fundamentally very good, and there's lots of adjustment in the steering wheel and the seat. And this touchscreen, this 8-inch screen on an SE spec car, it's just about perfect for what you need a touchscreen for. It's the right size, it's mounted nice and high on the dash, and it's very easy to use. Nice simple shortcut buttons, very responsive. And Skoda's also been sensible with the spec. For the SE, for example, it doesn't include sat-nav, because why make customers pay extra for it when instead you can just have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto and use your sat-nav there instead. It's typical of the down-to-earth approach that Skoda has taken with this car. In fact, I don't think it should be called the Scala. I think this should be the Skoda Pragmatic. So the engine range, it kicks off with the VW Group's 1 litre 3-cylinder turbo petrol. We've tried that engine in a lot of cars, we know it's really good. There's also the VW Group's 1.6 litre turbo diesel, which again we've tried in numerous other cars, and we know that it is very economical but perhaps not the most refined of engines. And then there's this, it's a 1.5 litre turbo petrol. It's got 150 horsepower, so it feels certainly brisk enough, and it's also very smooth and refined. It's actually quite a hard engine to criticise, and it has power all the way from the bottom of the rev range almost to up past 6,500 RPM. Cleverly, it can also shut down 2 of its cylinders when they're not needed in order to save fuel. This cylinder deactivation system is so well honed as well. Only really if you completely lower the windows and you're driving along next to some buildings on a very narrow road can you occasionally hear the reverberation. You can hear that it's only running on 2 cylinders, but in every other scenario it's so smooth the way it switches between 2 and 4 cylinders, you just would not know. In fact, it's only because a little eco message pops up on the dashboard that you know it's in 2-cylinder mode anyway. And what it means is that for a car that has enough power to get you from 0 to 60 in about 8 seconds, it's unbelievably economical. This Scala that we're driving has been doing around 50 to 55 miles per gallon, and that's not even trying to drive with economy in mind. Our only question mark when it comes to this drivetrain is whether you should opt for the DSG automatic over the 6-speed manual. This automatic gearbox is far from a bad choice. In fact, in most ways, it's brilliant. It's very smooth to change gear once you're on the move, and it responds quickly as well. When you ask it to kick down, it does give you nice quick shifts. The problem some people have with it is in low speed maneuvering. So if, for example, you're switching from drive to reverse, and this seems to particularly happen when you're on a gradient as well, the clutch doesn't always engage as quickly as you think. And as a result, the car can roll a bit further than you want it to, and you end up having to press the throttle a bit harder. And then when it does engage, you shoot forwards a bit. In time, you can adapt your driving style to compensate for this, but even then, it can occasionally catch you out. What about the ride and handling? Well, I think it's fair to say that other than its VRS models, Skodas don't tend to be particularly dynamic to drive. And the Scala is fairly typical of that. It's very easy and it's smooth. Even on 17-inch wheels, the ride is good. It doesn't ever jolt or jar as you go over bumps in the road. And the steering is light, it has a slightly sort of springy, spongy quality to it. It's not unpleasant, it's just very easy. This is not a car that is ever going to thrill or excite you. I think that's fair to say. But what it is just very simple and very easy to drive from A to B. Do you know, in many ways, this is the perfect family car. It really does tick every box that you could ask of it. And yet at the same time, for me at least, that's also its biggest weakness, because it does feel a bit too much like an exercise in box ticking, and as a result it just seems to lack any imagination or spark to it. The Scala, you see, is a ceaselessly sensible car, and if that's what you're looking for, then it will not disappoint. If, however, you want a bit of excitement from your family car, or you value the image that it projects about you, then it's hard to see that this particular Skoda could ever be at the top of your wish list. Do you agree? Let us know in the comments, and please do remember to subscribe and turn on notifications so you'll know when our new videos go live. And as ever, when it comes to searching for your next car, you can easily find great deals from top-rated dealers at cargurus.co.uk.